Hello and very welcome everyone to this session of Medieval History Part 6. In today's session, we are going to discuss the topic further that we left behind. We will see that what is left behind in medieval history, and we will see the topic that will help us in our upcoming. So let's start. Before we start, the images, text, and other materials used in our presentations are for educational purpose only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and owners. If you are the owner and have any concerns or issues, please contact us at sathi@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the. So the first we are going to discuss is about the Sur or the Suri dynasty. And before I start reading further, so let me tell you a bit about it. So basically, in 1530, Babur died and he handed over the kingdom to his sons. There were four, and the eldest one was Humayun. So Humayun got the territory of Agra and Delhi and all these central regions. And during even his starting time, he had to made a conflict with two type of empires. One is on the Bengal side, and another one is in the Gujarat side. So basically, this is the situation where when he attacked in Bengal and he stabilized it, then on the other side, Gujarat was taking the attack on the Humayun's territory. So this was the situation occurred, and because of which Humayun had to move towards Gujarat. And in that meantime, Sher Shah Suri, at that time he was known as Sher Khan, original name was Farid. He particularly took control of Bengal. So let's read that what he had done after that. So the Suri dynasty was started by Sher Shah Suri, whose birth name was Farid. With great success, he challenged the rule of Mughal Emperor Humayun, drove him out of India, and took the throne of Delhi. So as I was telling you, so Muzaffar, uh, the Gujarat dynasty, and that was ruled by Bahadur Shah. So they were attacking on the territories of Humayun, and Humayun was busy with them. In that meantime, Sher Khan and Farid, and later known as Sher Shah Suri, took the total control of Bengal and Bihar region and challenged Humayun. But so when he moved towards the Bengal region, he had to face Sher Shah Suri, and two battles were particularly took place. One was the Battle of Chausa, that was in 1539, and that after that the Battle of Kannauj, that was 1540. So you can see Battle of Chausa was fought somewhere in Bihar at the entry of Bihar. Then Battle of Kannauj, Kannauj is in UP. So you can see that Humayun was forced to move backwards from Bihar towards UP and then towards the end point, that is towards Sindh and Multan and all that. So that is how Sher Shah Suri was able to um, remove the Humayun from the territories. He was the son of Menial Jagirdar, who had been mistreated by his stepmother and father and neglected by his father. So, if we talk about Sher Shah Suri's childhood, so he was a particular son of a Jagirdar, but he was facing a lot of traumas in his childhood as he was mistreated by the stepmother and father and other particular people. And after that, he left his home and he particularly learned lot of things. He gained lot of knowledge and education, where residing with his uncle within India only. All of this employ demonstrates his extraordinary head, and heart qualities. Sher Shah restored the Afghan empire that had been subsumed under Babur. So basically, if we talk about the Babur, so Babur was the one who defeated Ibrahim Lodi. Ibrahim Lodi was an Afghan, and after that, Afghan forces were residing in the Bengal side. And after some time, they were particularly controlled by Sher Shah Suri, who was also an Afghan. So all the particular territories that were adopted or that were expanded by Babur and later by Humayun were now again under the control of Sher Shah Suri after the Battle of Kannauj of 1540. Then Sher Shah Suri's conquests include Bundelkhand, Malwa, Multan, Punjab, and Sindh. So you can see clearly that starting from the Bengal side, now he had controlled almost towards the northern western side, and that is why he also embarked the GT road, and that was basically not at that time it was not named the GT road, but was named as the Badshah road, and that connected the eastern side towards the western side. His empire occupied the whole of North India except Assam, Gujarat, Kashmir, and Nepal. So this was the expansion Sher Shah Suri done during the short span of his time period, that was from 1540 to 1545, because he died in 1545. Now, after that, though his rule lasted for only 5 years, he has organized an excellent administrative system, as I was saying. So basically, Sher Shah Suri is always remembered for two things. One is that he was able to remove Mughals from the territory for almost 15 years. He lived only for 5 years, and the administrative system he created was an exceptional one, because at that time people roam around the road even late at night, and not even a single person was scared of anything, because they knew that Sher Shah Suri has created that system that no one can even do burglary or any kind of robbing thing at that time. So that was the period of Sher Shah Suri. Let's read further about him. The encounters between Sher Shah and Humayun. Very important, guys. The question will be asked from them. So the three encounters were as follows. First is the Chunar Fort encounter and Sher Shah's diplomatic capitulation. I hope you remember when I was telling you that Humayun encountered two people during his early phase. One is the Gujarat area and one is the Bihar and Bengal area. So first type of attack that Humayun posed was at Chunar Fort, and Sher Shah at that time, he was known as Sher Khan. He particularly took the stability of Humayun. He took the oath of Humayun that he will be a regent of Mughal Empire and he will take the control. So that was a diplomatic move he played at that time. The Battle of Chausa was a notable military engagement between the Mughal Emperor Humayun and the Afghan Sher Shah Suri. It was fought on 26 June 1539. Sher Shah was victorious and crowned himself Farid al-Din Sher Shah. So this was the first time he adopted this name, Sher Shah. And if we talk about him, earlier he was known as Sher Khan. And Chausa is the place that you can see at the entry of Bihar. The Battle of Kannauj took place at Kannauj, Uttar Pradesh, India, between Sher Shah Suri and Humayun on 17th May 1540. This battle is also known as the Battle of Bilgram, where Humayun was defeated. So basically, as I already told you, that in 1539 the Battle of Chausa was fought, and in 1540 the Battle of Kannauj, and in both the battles Humayun was defeated, and it became very humiliating for him to live in this particular part. So he moved more backward towards west, and after that he came to know that Sher Shah is moving towards him more. So he sent a letter to Sher Shah Suri that I left all the territories for you. Now what do you want? So Sher Shah said just one thing, that I want you out of this territory. So that was a kind of conversation happened. Later, Humayun uh, called Sher Shah Suri as Badshah Badshah in his biography and in his words. So that is all about the encounters. Now let's talk about some important ministers of that time that were particularly introduced. So the king was aided by four important ministers. First is Diwane Wizarat or Wazir. It was a post that was remaining or continuing since Delhi Sultanate also, and he was made the in charge of revenue and finance. Then comes the Diwane Arz, that is in charge of army. I hope you remember that this post or this name or this department was created by Balban, the ruler of Ghulam dynasty in Delhi Sultanate. Then comes the Diwane Rasalat, that was a foreign minister. He takes care about all the type of foreign things and foreign responsibilities. Then Nivane Insha, that is the minister for communication, and that is the person responsible for creating communication things in between the territories and between the neighboring. Then comes the Sher Shah's empire was divided into 47 sarkars. So basically, when we talk about Sher Shah's empire, so it was divided into 47 sarkars at that time, and particularly, he was the one who started this system of sarkars. So basically, if we talk about sarkar, so sarkar is a kind of a territorial region that was distributed, and all the peoples are all the different type of officers are also implemented so that they can take care of the sarkar. So that is the kind of a system he created. Let's read further. Some of the officers that were famous at that time. Each sarkar was further divided into various parganas and in charge of various officers. So basically, sarkar is a uh, particular higher position. Then comes the pargana, and those parganas have officers in charge. And in them, particularly, we have military officers called shikdar. Amin were called a land revenue. Potedar was a treasurer. Karkun were the accountants. Iktas, various administrative units. It was the system already implemented earlier also during the time of Delhi Sultanate. And now let's talk about some land revenue administration he started. So under Sher Shah, the land revenue administration was well organized. And even if I tell you that during the time of Sher Shah Suri also, the officer that worked under him was Raja Todarmal. So Raja Todarmal was common in Sher Shah's office and also during the office of Akbar. The land survey was sensibly done. All cultivable lands were classified into three classes: good, middle, and bad. And I already told you that in Akbar's reign, the two type of majorly important lands were either Banjar or Polaj. Polaj was the best. The state's share was one third of the average production and it was paid in cash or crop. So I hope you remember that I told you that during the time of Delhi Sultanate, during the time of Mughal Empire, and you can see that during the time of Sher Shah Suri, only there were certain occasions when we see that heavy taxations were implemented. But not even a single king ever implemented more taxes than 33%. That was a fact. And as soon as the Britishers came, they started collecting revenue on the basis of quantity. They wanted to collect the revenue of 2 crore, 3 crore. This is the kind of a quantity they want. That is why more famines and more particular type of things happened during the British era because they were not empathizing with anyone and the only thing they want was revenue. But you can see here that the revenue or the particular taxation was one third and it can be given in any form, either cash or crop. Sher Shah introduced a new copper coin called Dam. It is believed that this coin is one of the possible sources for the English phrase, I don't give a damn due to its small worth. So it is also a kind of a possible thing that English people introduce this particular phrase in their dictionary. Then police were competently restructured and crime was less during his reign, in his regime. So I already told you that during the time of Sher Shah Suri, the policies, the administration, the police system was so much better that even there was a phrase that was used that if a woman would be walking on a road with all her or ornaments and all the other gold and silver things, and if someone dared to touch her, she said this particular thing, and it was quoted in lot of books that if either if you are touching me, either Sher Shah Suri is dead or you are the one Sher Shah Suri. So this was the type of phrase that were used by women at that time. So that is about the land revenue administration and other things of Sher Shah Suri. Let's read more about it. So Shah borrowed many ideas like the branding of horses from Alauddin Khilji. Also, this was the one because branding of horses was started by Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin Khilji started this particular system of Dag and Hulia. Dag was a kind of a hot iron to be put on the horse back so that a number or any kind of symbol can be given to the horse so that it can be recognized. So this is the kind of a branding of horses and it was started by Alauddin Khilji. Remember, this was Dag. And Hulia was another concept. Hulia was a kind of an identification process for military army persons at that time so that their salary could be given according to the identity. Sher Shah had also developed the communications by laying four important highways. As I already told you, that GT Road is one of the most famous one. Earlier it was known as Uttar Path, and Sher Shah reconstructed it, connecting the Bengal side to the Afghan side. that is from Sonargaon to Sindh, Agra to Behrampur, Jodhpur to Chittor, Lahore to Multan. Rise to power. So let's read about his rise to power. And before that, these are the four highways. Among them, the largest or the longest one that we still use is this one, that is famously today known as the GT Road. So, unlike other Indian sultans, Sher Shah was not born into a position of great power. He was born one of eight sons of a horse breeder and small landholder. He began his career as a soldier in the army of the governor of Jaunpur, but quickly rose through the ranks when his talent and bravery were noticed by the Sultan of Bihar. As I already told you, a sultan is a sovereign ruler of a Muslim state. So, this was the time when Jaunpur was another sultanate created during the time of Lodis, and later he became the part of the Bihar Sultanate, and Bihar Sultan had particularly accepted him or selected him and trained him, and he became one of the most loyal fighter of Bihar Sultan. It was this Sultan who gave him the title Sher. He earned the name, which translates as a lion or tiger, in an astonishing feat of courage by attacking and slaughtering a tiger that threatened the life of the king. Eventually, Sher Shah was himself declared the official Sultan of Bihar because he killed the Sultan and married his wife, and later he became the king himself of this region. And this is the reason why he got the name Sher Khan, because once he defeated and killed a particular tiger with his own bare hand. So that was the starting story of Sher Shah Suri. Let's read more about it. Sher Shah remained a pious Muslim and generally tolerant towards other religions as well. So this is another thing that gave us a glimpse of how the thinking of Sher Shah was related to the religion. He also employed Hindus in important offices, like I already give you an example. Raja Todarmal served in his office as well before he served in the office of Akbar. The old fort called Purana Killa and its mosque was built during his period. He also built a mausoleum at Sasaram, which is considered as one of the masterpieces of Indian architecture. So, do remember one more thing, that he was born in Sasaram and later he was buried in Sasaram. The famous Hindi work Padmavat by Malik Muhammad Jaisi was written during his reign. So, do remember this thing as well, that Malik Muhammad Jaisi was a famous writer and he wrote this book Padmavat that tells us the story of Alauddin Khilji, Raja Ratan Singh, and Rani, and the queen, sorry, Padmini. And let's talk about in the year 1545, Sher Shah died and his successor ruled till 1555, later when Humayun reconquered India. So basically, Sher Shah died in a kind of an attack only, while he was on the verge of attacking the Kalinga, and when he was particularly putting a bomb to destroy the gate of the fort. So, because of the explosion, he was particularly injured and later died. And that is why his period of training the court was for a very short period of time, for 5 years only. But you can take a look that how much work he had done in those 5 years. After that, his successors remained till the time of 1555, and finally Humayun came back along with Baram Khan from the Safavid Empire, and they attacked first of all the Machiwara, then Sirhind, and finally they conquered their territory back in 1555. The tomb he built for himself at Sasaram is a masterpiece of architecture. So do remember his tomb is in Sasaram, that is in Bihar. Now let's talk about the buildings that he built. So Sher Shah's mausoleum is in Sasaram, Bihar. Rohtasgarh Fort on the banks of the Jhelum River in the northwest is another architect built by him. Purana Killa at New Delhi was built by him. Mosque in the Purana Killa. Well organized dark system. This is really important. He worked a lot on two or three very important things. One is the police system in his empire, in his territory. Another one is the communication system, and another one is the postal system. These three things are really important. And another one, he was also famously known as the father of modern currency. Dark chowkis were also made from sarais. Sarais were kind of a rest place that were created alongside the GT road. Two horses were kept at each sarai so that the news bearers could acquire fresh horses at regular intervals to keep up with the pace. So I think you are able to understand that how he particularly connected these places and the system of postal system of dark system. Sarais. So about 1700 sarais were constructed on both sides of the road. Each sarai had separate rooms for the Hindus and the Muslims. Each sarai had a well and a mosque. These sarais also functioned as dark chowkis. Because of their importance, these sarais were veritable arteries of the empire. So this is a particular code that they are called a veritable arteries of the empire at that time. So dark system and sarais were started by him. So that is all about his system of dark system and sarais. Let's read more. A makatab was linked to each mosque for the purpose of giving primary education and teaching Arabic and Persian to Muslims. Madrasas were set up for higher education. Endowments and grants were given to educational institutions. Provisions was also made for scholarships on the basis of merit. So you can see that how much work he had done, and in every department he had done this work. That is why the empire of Seh Shah, which was a span of only 5 years, but you can easily understand it by this, that still his 5 years empire is written in your book and you have to read about him. And lot of questions every year comes from this particular book. Then talk about the currency. So the exchange rate between the dam and the rupee was set at 64 to 1. That means basically if we talk about by giving 64 dam, you can have 1 rupee. That is the point here. And rupee is basically the silver coin and dam is a copper coin. During the Mughal and the British eras, the currency was based on the same coin rupee ratio. You can see clearly that how much work Sher Shah Suri had done. There was no defined ratio among so many coins of various metal alloys previously. He abolished the old and mixed metal currency. He issued fine coins of gold, silver, and copper of uniform standard. And yes, there was also a coin of gold at that time, apart from rupiah and dam, and that was called mohar. So the gold coin was called mohar, the silver was rupiah, and dam was copper. And that's it in this session, guys. I hope you learned a lot of things with me in this session and gained great knowledge. I will meet you in the next session in which we will discuss more about the history. And I hope the interesting session as it is, all the other sessions are also interesting for all of us. And till the time we meet, bye bye. Take care, everyone.